If you've been looking for a car parking diesel heater, this is one that Hcalory had just sent me. It's an 8 kilowatt heater. It's a much different unit than the previous ones that I've looked at on this channel. And it has a few features that make it a completely different game-changing unit compared to some of those older models. This diesel heater has a larger fuel tank, 6 liters or 1.5 gallons, a redesigned combustion chamber, and a new algorithm that controls the heater. So on a low setting, you can run this heater with 1 tank of fuel for about 50 hours is what they are claiming. It has a wireless remote that also has a carbon monoxide detector on it, which I haven't seen before on previous diesel heaters. And the ultimate game changer, at least as far as I'm concerned, is it has Bluetooth with app control. So no more fiddling around with these buttons trying to remember how to access a particular program inside the unit. You can program the whole thing real easy and very intuitive off of the Bluetooth app that comes with this. It's supposed to be quieter with a quieter fuel pump. That annoying ticking fuel pump can really get on your nerves for some people. So we'll see how quiet it is. Let me bring you in a little closer. We'll have a quick look at what it comes with and look inside the unit, and then we'll fire it up and test it out. Instruction book, an AC adapter so you can run it off of AC power with a 120 volt plug. Here's a cord where you can move this screen inside where you can use the thermostat function. You've got an adapter for a bulkhead, and you can adjust that for different directional heat. An air cleaner to keep large debris out of the air intake for the diesel engine. You've got an adapter here that plugs in, and you can just connect a 12 volt battery to it. I believe this is a 3.5 inch tube. Most of the ones I've seen in the past were 3 inch. This is your fresh air intake for the motor, and then the exhaust. Also comes with your standard muffler to quiet some of the exhaust noise. A couple of brackets for mounting your air intake wherever you'd like. Has a fuel filter for the tank. You can just drop that in the top of the tank and pour your diesel fuel through there. And then various hose clamps for connecting all the tubing. Now on the front of the machine, you've got a 3.5 inch air intake. This is for the air that comes in and is heated up and blown out the back. This is the air intake connection for the fresh air that goes into the combustion chamber. And then here's your plug for your external power source. The screen is removable. They have it zip tied on here. And if you want to use the thermostat feature, this has the temperature sensor in it. It needs to be moved to the space that you're going to heat with the heater, otherwise it won't work properly if you're trying to use that thermostat controlled feature. On the back side, you have the combustion chamber exhaust connection, and then here's where the warm air is blown out of the heater into your space that you're trying to heat. So this is 1.6 gallons or 6 liters. We have a 20 amp fuse in there. And this is the remote. Looks like it has a USB-C plug, input of 5 volts, and a carbon monoxide detector sensor, apparently with a rechargeable battery. That's pretty fancy. Here's the heater unit itself. It's supposed to have a much quieter fuel pump, and that's one of the annoying issues with some of these older diesel heaters I've had in the past. You get that ticking from the fuel pump. This one is supposed to be much quieter. No fuel filter, so that's why they include the fuel filter for the fuel tank, I would imagine. 12 or 24 volt, input 12 volt or 12 amps, 24 volt, 6 amps. You put your air filter on the top, and it just kind of holds that up out of the way. I was able to get connected to the app, no problems whatsoever. Just download the app, select the unit, and you're in. It was really, literally that simple. I'm going to be using this ALLPOWERS R600 to power it. I don't know if it'll start it, but we're about to find out. This short line had ring terminals on it, and so does the lead that they give you. So I just bolted them together and put some electrical tape to temporarily plug in power into the front. So we do have power. And the remote, I didn't have to pair it or anything. So you just turn it on this switch on the side. The remote comes on, It's got the up and down buttons for increasing and decreasing the speed. The lower right hand button is the power on and off, so it works. I don't want to start it quite yet, so we'll power it right back off, but I wanted to show you that it works. You can adjust pretty much every parameter off of the app, which makes this night and day difference on the ease of use. So to prime it, I need to press the up and down arrow buttons together and hold them in. And what I'm looking for is fuel to come up that green fuel line just right into the burn chamber. There's the pump and the prime. It's not too loud, but you can definitely hear it when it's priming. Now that there's fuel in the pump, it's got real quiet. Okay, here comes the fuel up from the bottom. There it is. See it coming up the tube, hopefully. Press the on button. And I think it said 3 minutes, so we'll let that start going and see where we're at. I can hear the fan has come on. You got a little emblem showing the fan spinning. And honestly, so far it's super quiet. But I do feel a little bit of air moving through it. Currently we're using 68 watts, 72 watts, 80. It's fluctuating kind of all over the place on the wattage as it starts to fire up. And the screen has an automatic timeout to save power. I can hear the motor starting to ramp up a little bit. It's only 17 watts and we're showing heat now coming out. So let me check the other side. Yep, it's starting to get warm. I can feel the heat coming off the exhaust pipe. That can get up to 750 degrees, so be real careful. Make sure that's not touching anything that's flammable. And you need a lot of ventilation. This should go outside of whatever space you're heating if you don't already know that. There will be carbon monoxide coming off the end of that, just like exhaust from a car. Oh, and just to note, we're at 3 minutes, so it is wound up and putting out heat in 3 minutes from the startup. Okay, so for temperature settings, right now we're in what they're calling gears, so it's got 1 through 10 on temperature settings. So let's crank it up as high as it'll go, and that's the loudest it's going to get and the warmest it's going to put out. Highest fan setting. Let's come back over here and see where we're at on temperature on the output here. Right in that vent, 210, 212, 215, at least at this point. Let's see if we can look inside at the exhaust here and see what shows on the outside of the insulation. 250. They're right, I cannot hear the fuel pump once it's running. All I can hear is the exhaust, which I do not have the muffler on there. And while it's running, we're using 34 watts off of the little portable power station there. And it did start it up, no problem. And it's saying at this rate, it'll run for 8 hours with this machine on high. Let's kick it down to low as it'll go. Down to 1, and we'll see what that uses. Don't hear the fuel pump. You can see right down here in the bottom, the fuel pump is pumping, pulsing that fuel through that green fuel line, but you can't hear that ticking. So that's a huge plus on the Hcalory, much quieter than the previous models that I've had. Still on low, we're doing 180 or 190 degrees air temperature on the low setting and about 210 or 220 on the high setting. We're still on the low setting, H1, and it says low. Fluctuating on the wattage, 6 to 10 watts looks like on the low setting. It's showing down here that at that 97% battery charge and that wattage, it'll last 1 day with this power station. Let's go into this app. So let's go up a click. So it does have a very slight delay, but it'll switch real easy with the app, which is really nice. As long as you're within Bluetooth range of the heater, you can adjust pretty much everything from this app. The height, 340 meters. I think I can change that. Let's hit this gear icon up on the top and let's do unit switch. There we go, height. Let's go with feet and Fahrenheit. 1,115 feet, that's better. Here's where you can change the modes from high altitude, on or off. Auto start and stop if you want to set up a timer. And mode change. So we've got gear, which is the stepped settings 1 to 10, or you have thermostat controlled temperature setting, which I'm not set up on that at the moment, but you could switch to that there if you wanted to. Let's go back, take it off temp. Let's put it back on gear. Very cool. Now, one other test I wanted to do, I figured if I put this on the ground below that exhaust, we can test out the CO2. The top of this remote has a temperature sensor, and then the bottom it says CO, so it's carbon monoxide detector. So if I put that where that exhaust is blowing on it, certainly it'll set off the alarm, don't you think? Okay, it is going off. You can see that flashing alarm on the screen, and it's very quiet. I don't know if you can adjust the volume. All right, I read the instructions on the remote, and from what I could tell is the volume is not adjustable. But right up here on the top, it gives you the parts per million. It does seem to work. Here's your power setting. Here's a battery indicator light, and this is just showing you're like halfway on the power scale. This lower left-hand button, you can press that and gives you room temperature. I just pulled it out of the exhaust stream, so it's showing 86 degrees, and that seems to work as well. It's dropping down a little bit here. We're probably about 62 or 63 out here now. Click that again, it goes back to the power setting. And then the center, you can change from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and then you've got the power up, power down, and then the on and off. So it is a real handy remote. Has a carbon monoxide detector. I personally don't know that that's loud enough for me to really trust it. I would recommend that they make it a much louder alarm. If it senses the carbon monoxide, it just lets you know that you're getting carbon monoxide in your heated space. So I do like the rechargeability. I wish they would include the USB-C cord to go along with it. So when you shut this down, you want to hold that button in, or shut it down with the app, or shut it down. Let's try the remote. So we've got the on off down here. Let's press the off. And then it's going to go through a sequence of cool down, running the fan, continuing to run air through the heater to cool the chamber down. You don't want to just unplug the battery or shut this off instantly without letting it cool itself down. It could potentially damage itself. And for those of you who might be interested in more information or picking one of these up for yourself, I'll put a couple of links in the video description along with a coupon code for 8% off if you use my coupon code. No extra charge for you, and hope you have great adventures and stay warm with the Hcalory Toolbox 2 car parking heater.